So last weekend, Mose and I went to the Oldtimer, a National Oldtimer Festival at the Lauman Museum, Lauman and Parquet, and that's a museum. Mr. Lauman is very well known worldwide, and old cars, and he has a beautiful museum in The Hague. This one is not in The Hague. This one is in the Ramsong Sphere, which is a museum dedicated to Toyota. He was the importer for Toyota in the Netherlands, and I believe more than just the Netherlands. Anyway, we went inside. It's nice, but the outside there were some gorgeous cars like this Mercedes 220 SE. I remember having that one in the garage in the US when I worked there, and that car wouldn't start, and turned out the whole exhaust was packed with kibble. So we had some, this is inside the museum. We had this Imperial, really strange car with the headlights and the rear lights completely detached from the body. Very cool design. Never seen this model before. So going back outside to that same Mercedes again. I loved it, especially as a convertible. And it was in good condition. It wasn't perfect, but it was in good condition. Looked very nice, and the guys drove off later. I love the dashboard that is all wood on the where the cluster is, the gauge cluster. So and I'm walking around. We saw other Mercedeses, nice Porsches, and a lot of what you would call regular cars for people. All the Simcas and the Opels and the Fords, DAFs, Dutch brand of car, BMWs, Opels, a lot of different cars. Of course, the English cars are there as well. I have some knowledge on those. Okay, we're focusing on this Mercedes. The SO, no, I don't know exactly, but it's the body style of the Gullwing, but it's a smaller engined version and not the race car. There were these copies of Porsches, race Porsches. There was one really nice one, but it was a 912. I forgot to tape that one, but it had a perfect paint job. And that was the only car in the entire roundup that had a perfect paint job. A little Mini. Here's the Opel Record. I had one, sold it, I think 2 years ago. Yeah, they're beautiful cars. I think they call it the Coke bottle hips because they have that hip going up, and they're very straight. They're always extremely straight in terms of the metal work on the doors and the fenders. I don't know why that is, but they're far straighter than similar cars from that time and age. Here's a 525. There's an Opel Ascona. That's the old Deux Chevaux, or the duck as we call it. Then we had some Japanese cars, of course, being here. And then up comes to the left is my grandmother's car. It's a Borgward Isabella. In those days, the car was similar quality-wise to a Mercedes. The brand didn't survive, but we loved sitting in the back of that car. And I'm guessing that car was from 61. I was born in 61, so I guess she kept it for a number of years. Wonderful car. Okay, there's an MG next to that. And there's on the right, there's a Volvo 480 ES, I think. This car was built in the Netherlands. But it's a Volvo. And then we have a Ford Escort Mark 1, and then there's a CX Citroën, of course the Volvo's 2 Series 245, I guess, because it's a 5. Okay, we're focusing on the Escort, of course. I had a couple of those when I was young, and they didn't cost anything, and they're just priceless now. Okay, there's the CX, was a nice one. Good condition, we should say. And they all rusted like crazy, those cars, and they haven't need a lot of maintenance as I guess any car. Okay, we had some of these 3-liter. No, I don't know. Is it an MGB? Well, This was a really nice one. Loved the red and black. Had a great sound in it. They're not very interesting engines. They don't have a double overhead camshaft, but they sound really nice. So that one was next to our car. I opened my the hood so that people could look into, and then of course we found a BMW. I think this was the I don't know if it was a 2002 or the 16. Look at the back, but this one has my lights, as I would say, the lights that I'm building on into my little Opel, and they look so great. I don't like the model, well, it's the same model, but the Mark II, I guess, for the BMW when they have these other lights. Okay, now we saw some beautiful old American cars drive by. I'm lost with this one. Was it a Packard or Chevrolet? Anyway, they're so quiet. You have these old flat, well, I don't know if they're side valves, but valves. Anyway, they're very, very quiet. And then we had this very good looking car, which I first thought it was a Jaguar, but it's an AC. Beautiful car. You don't see those often at all. And this is the AC before, well, right before I guess AC started working with, and it became, well, they built the AC Cobra. This is a 6-cylinder straight line engine, and you can see the AC brand on the engine. It's a beautiful engine. It's aluminum, a single overhead camshaft, and it was very, very quiet and beautiful sound. That one was already quite some time in the Netherlands. And then we move over to a very nice Porsche, very original. And then we had this wonderful Series 1 Alfa Romeo Spider, and with the rounded, and I guess this is the one that everybody talks about as the one from the movie, The Graduate. Beautiful little car. I believe this one was for sale, but they asked a very high figure for that one. And then we have a little Land Rover next to that, or a little, it's the 109. We didn't see any 88s. Okay, then we had these beautiful two big Cadillac Eldorados. We had this one. Is it a Coupe de Ville? It is a 2-door. It's ridiculously long and wide. And then we had this one, the convertible one, which on the side it's just like rocket engines. It was a gorgeous, both of them gorgeous cars, in pretty good condition. And these guys loved their cars. You could tell that. And there was another one next to that, but it was a newer one. And when you go into the 70s, they become not that interesting any longer. The fins get smaller. So this is the inside of the convertible one. It was totally silver outside, silver inside. Okay, here's a 2002, the newer one. I guess the model the year after, or the 2 years after, when they had to change the lights, the rear lights. I don't like these that much. I love the rounded ones, but the car itself was in immaculate condition. Very nice car. With that bright green, it really suited the car. Well, then we have a little Opel Kadett, and then a Ford, I think it's a Ford Limited. I told Mo's, explained to her that convertibles, station wagons are considered to be woman car, and a man would never drive a station wagon. That is not manly, considered manly, very to the opposite as it is in Europe. So we had a Citroen, a DS in the back, and then we had this beautiful traction avant. Very nice one with the looked like a homemade roof rack, but in very good condition, and it ran beautifully. It has that wonderful straight 4 engine, extremely reliable, and this one was. He did some nice cosmetic repairs, but the car is still in very original condition. So I love this one. And looking at the license number, well, it's an older, I guess it's an older import. So I'll just show you the engine. Suicide doors. And this roof rack, which is leaning not on the drip rail, but it's leaning on the roof itself. So it shows you how thick that steel is, I guess. Yeah. Beautiful car. And then we're coming to these muscle cars. Well, one muscle car, and then we had this beautiful convertible Ford Fairlane, I think it is. Impressive. This is a whole steel roof which has to flip in the middle before it can fit into the boot, and you have that bag in there where you can put some of your suitcases or clothes in when you want to travel with the top down. But amazing, all electrical engines everywhere, and this is a car from the 60s. Very good condition and a very, very beautiful car. And you have the seats covered in vinyl, and then some clear vinyl over the vinyl to protect the vinyl. They used to do that. It looks ridiculous, but I guess people wanted to save their cars for the next owner. How nice. So that's the inside. Yeah, the obligatory stupid dice on the mirrors, but anyway. Then we had these muscle cars. Most got very emotional when we drove up and she saw all these muscle cars. She loves these muscle cars. Okay, then we had this beautiful old police car. Then we had of course, some splitties. And this one had the split windows could open. And then we had this Bentley. I have not a lot of footage of it. I didn't trust it. It does have an old engine. Looking at the frame underneath, it had way too modern suspension, and it had disc brakes in the front. I think it was a replica. Not that interesting then for me. And then we had a few beautiful Rolls Royces, Lancia next to it, one of those race Lancias, and the 4-wheel drive ones, extremely powerful. Well, I'm still focusing on the Rolls, but it was very straight. This was a very nice model. Is it a Silver Ghost? I'm not that great on my knowledge on models of Rolls Royces. Two-tone. Next to the, here we have that engine. Beautifully. It was taken a nut and bolt restoration, so it was taken apart all the way down to the last screw. Yeah, they're a bit past or what I would like. But anyway, so going back to this, I love those big fenders and the way that they flow and are creased, and the straightness of the metal. Okay, we're gonna get some more muscle cars. There were quite a few. Well, actually a lot of American cars, and quite a few of these very well maintained or repaired or refurbished cars. This was one of the beautiful E-types. The one that we saw before next to my car was in a rough condition, but it was drivable. This one was really nice. Very, very good condition. Wire wheels. Yeah, I love these ones. It was not a convertible one. They were all coupes. Let's have a Rolls Royce in the back, and there's a Citroën DS convertible. Chapon one. Chapon was there was an outside company who would change the cars into that model. Okay, we have of course, some more pictures of the GTO. So it's a Pontiac. And they're very well known, and I have to say, they're very good looking cars. Yeah, extremely powerful, of course, with an engine. And then we had this beautiful Chrysler in a gorgeous color, and it was all why can't I find the word? But it's a beautiful interior with plate on the door, guards, and it was in a very, very nice condition. So it was all taken apart and fixed up, and it was just in a perfect condition. All the chrome, everything was straight, no bumps, no nicks. And then at the museum, they had saved one of the old Esso gas stations. So these were along the so-called highways in the Netherlands, and they were all scrapped at some point because of newer gas stations, and this one was saved and he bought it and he put it up on his grounds. And what you can do is you can get your car and drive up to it and have someone take pictures or a little footage. So here's a whole row of old cars. We have a Ford Taunus, a German car, or Germany made. Of course, the Golf. And then we have another Volvo, a 144? Oh no, 145, because it has 5 doors. We have a little Fiat 500. And then we have a little Renault camper van. And I guess that's a Mini hiding there behind. And then there's an Audi. Oh yeah, I don't know the model of that one. And that was a bagged Mercedes, a 280 SE Jaguar. Well, I'm getting slower now. There's a Ford 17M. That was my dad's car at some point. Another, of course, the Beetle. There's a Celica, Toyota Celica. There's another 911, another Beetle. And then there was this, I thought it was a DKW, because it had a 3-cylinder, 2-stroke engine in it. And there was a Golf, another Mercedes SL, Porsche, Citroën DS. There was another Alpha newer model, Alpha Spider. There was a Saab. Well, forgot the model. Another Volvo 2 Series. There's a Peugeot. Is it a 307? Oh, there was a Volkswagen. Was it a 412? Then we have an MG. There's a Fiat 128 Beetle. That's the 412M. There's the BMW, another 2002. There's a Mini. And then there were a lot of little Japanese cars. There's one on the left. That was actually a pretty new one. That's the Volvo. What was it? We called it Kattegat in the Netherlands. A little Golf, a little Opel Kadett. I think it's 2nd series. Here's a Toyota Land Cruiser. And they had this really funny Citroën Deutsche, which they had changed into a 3-wheeler. So you have the front wheels are driven anyway, so the rear wheel isn't doing them much. But they changed it, and they really did it really in a nice way. It was a cool little car, and it functioned, and it was road legal. And then there was this 300 SE. SEL? Oh, sorry, SE. There's a 300 SE. It was as they said on the windshield, it was a restoration only mechanically, because they guess the car had been standing still. They wanted it on the road, but it wasn't in perfect condition. It had rust, it had some issues, I mean, cosmetically, but it ran, and that was the main thing. They wanted to run it safely, so the brakes were done, engine and gearbox, all the oils, all the rubbers, all the suspension, and the thing was now back on the road, and they were just enjoying it. A beautiful car. And again, it had that meter cluster with covered in wood. Oh, here we have a very early, this was a very special one. I guess little people knew that, but this is a very early Alfa Romeo, we call them GTs, but it is we call it the mailbox because of the hood, which has an opening to the front. There's a couple of other cars. Now, of course, we're in line, and I did the same thing, and most did the filming, and took some pictures, and well, this is more the gas station that I guess they were still around when my car was driving on the road. So there's the little Esso station, and that's it. Hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe.